Well, guys, do we have some stuff going on and things to show you? This is not all of it. This is just what I felt like bringing downstairs. So, we've been working on the S2000, on and off, but we're getting ready to actually get it pretty much done as far as the turbo side of things. We got our injectors. We have a new dash, and well, this is not for the S2000, but is going to be fun. We got AN lines. We've got a turbo. What else do we have? We got our wastegates on. Yeah, so we are really getting ready to hunker down on this and get it done, because I'm ready to go drive it. I'm ready to go take it out at night and enjoy the summer with it, with the top down. AC still doesn't work, so it's still going to be hot as balls. But let's jump into it. Today, we're going to work on the injectors and the dash, get the fuel system taken care of, and get the dash back in so we can see what's going on. I don't have everything I need to finish this just yet, so this is more just something for me to play with. This is more just something for me to play with. Keep my hands busy while I'm talking to you guys. Yeah, let's go jump into it. Let's get this stuff going. Let's get it rolling. By the way, here is our beautiful turbo. This is Max Speeding Rods. It's the Max Speeding Rods GT30 turbo, GT3076, something like that. That's what it's modeled after. Let me give this a shot. It was a couple $100. I'm not expecting it to last forever, but I just would like to see how well it does. It seems like a pretty decent turbo. Taking it apart, looked at it. Other than that, we're gonna hop right into the fuel system. This is gonna be the easiest thing that we're going to be doing today. This, and then we'll do the digital dash. I already did the fuel pump because that's super easy. Doesn't take much to get that in and out. My broom handle. If you guys want to send me out or send me a link to some S2000 hood struts, that would be pretty cool. I wouldn't say no. Just saying. So jumping right into it, we're gonna have these 10 millimeters up top across the fuel rail, and then we'll disconnect the vacuum line right there, pull the PCV off, and disconnect the injectors themselves. Our new injectors come with pigtail adapters. Let me go ahead, open this guy up so you guys can see these beauties. It does come with a flow chart, so these have been tested. There goes stickers. Has been tested, and it shows you the percentages in which they are of each other, which is pretty cool. Pigtail adapters and our 1000cc injectors. So this is going to handle pretty much anything. This is going to handle anything we throw at the car in the foreseeable future. My power goal is right around 350. Don't really care to push it more than that. These AP1 transmissions are not the best, and the differential, I've heard, is also not the best. So those are two weak links that we're going to have. If I can prolong the inevitable, that would be great. If not, then I guess we're doing a trans and a diff swap on it. But we're gonna go ahead and get started on those. Pretty freaking easy. It's not gonna be long at all. It's not a Subaru. If you've ever done injectors on a Subaru, not the most fun thing in the world, but there are worse. There definitely are worse things. Flip you around, get this fuel rail off, and let's get started. I also would like to run the radium fuel rail here in the future. Just has a nicer look to it, and this one's missing some brackets anyways, so it's not gonna hurt me to go ahead and switch to the radium and just have it look nicer in the engine bay. I mean, that thing's pretty beat up. Just a little side note. We got the injectors out. Took us 2 minutes. What I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to take a rag, clean all the injector holes out. I'll show you. That way we get a nice good seal. Don't have any leaks and don't have any sort of debris kind of floating around in there causing problems. This is just going to prevent us from having to go back and redo what we're doing now. This is what I am talking about. Those holes are pretty gunky, so we're just going to go through, clean them, make them look super nice and pretty. That way we don't have any leaks. Injector holes and homes are nice and clean. We're going to take our new injectors, and it comes with a lubricant, if you can see that. What you're going to do is just rub on those O-rings. You can be a little liberal with it, but you don't want too much. I guess it really wouldn't hurt anything. It just make a mess. This is just going to give those injector seals the best chance possible to seal as good as they possibly can. That's exactly what it's there for. Make things slide in easier. Yeah. So I'll get these lubed up, get them tossed in, and then we can actually jump on the prettiest part of today, the dash, the cluster that I am so excited for. This is the one that I wanted to get, and we finally pulled the trigger and got it. So I'm pretty stoked on it. Justice is actually pretty stoked on it as well. She's at work right now. She works nights, so that's kind of crappy. Paisley's at her grandparents, so I am working on a project. One thing I wanted to show you real quick is actually the difference between these 1000cc and factory injectors, if it'll focus. Maybe. This is 1000cc. This is our factory injector. So the cap itself is actually a little bit bigger, and the flow hole, if that's what you want to call it, if you will, is actually bigger on the 1000cc injector as well. This is just going to flow us more fuel when the car demands it, when our ECU tells the car that it needs more. This is going to take care of that for us. So I'm going to go ahead, lube these up, throw them in, get on to what you're really here for. One quick tip, put these lower seals in first. It'll make your life so much easier. If you don't do that, you're going to be fighting it trying to put the injectors in with those on it. So now that we've done that, we'll take our injectors, slide it in. Everything else will pretty much be plug and play. Well, and now that that's pretty much done, I'm going to go ahead and throw the 4 10mm that were holding it together back on. We're going to pressure check it. All right, guys, go ahead and watch that for me. After I put my hardware back on. All right, go ahead and sit there, look pretty. I'm going to keep it on. So that would have been enough pressure to go ahead and spring a leak, at least at the top of the injector where it goes into the fuel rail. So we're good, at least until we start it. We'll figure it out then, but right now we're good. Now we get to get into the fun stuff. The new digital dash, all new LCD display. So we'll go ahead, I'm gonna take everything, move it over so I can pop the trunk, disconnect the battery. We can go ahead and get this done. I want to say one thing. This is not at all sponsored, partnered, anything like that. This was just something I went out and bought, and it's pretty cool. They got it here from the Netherlands in 4 days, which I can't order anything stateside and have it here in 4 days unless it's from B&P Tuning or Unitronic. So I'm gonna switch you around. I'm gonna show you everything that comes in the box. That everything is going to be your actual control module, You get this nicely wrapped harness along with a controller so you can adjust the different themes. And then you get this pretty wicked display. So this guy is going to take the place of your factory gauge cluster. You can go ahead and just set her in here so we can see exactly how she fits up. I will say there is going to need to be some trimming. I knew that going into this, but those edges are gonna have to be taken down. That's just to ensure that it fits, because if you don't do it, it's not gonna fit. So I'm gonna go ahead, a Dremel will make this easier. I don't have one, but I do have some snips. I think that'll work pretty well for the plastic. We're gonna go ahead and give that a shot. If that doesn't work, then I'll get creative and I'll let you know what I figure out. So I am going to try to be as minimally invasive as I can, and not just chop the entire thing up. But I got some tin snips that aren't made for plastic, but will probably do the job. This is not the right tool for the job, but this is what I've got. So this is what we're doing. I'm gonna go ahead, trim up the plastic just as much as I think I need, retest fit it, and go from there. If I need to trim more, I trim more. If not, then we're good to go. How I did this is I went through, I cut little tabs all the way down. I did cut this upper section just enough to get a knife in there. This knife to be in particular, and it actually gave a pretty nice finish as far as not really having any sort of rough edges. It's not the smoothest, but a lot of it broke off right at the line. Right where the two plastics meet and they make a seam, a lot of it just broke off there and wasn't really that big of a deal. And I would rather do this than take a Dremel inside the car and fling everything everywhere. So for me personally, this is probably a better method of doing it. If you have tin snips and just a box cutter, it didn't take me that long. It was 5 minutes for that side. This side's gonna take me 7 because I filmed it. So I'm gonna get that done, and then we'll route the wires in and get everything hooked up. So between the two sides, that actually worked out pretty perfect. So now we're gonna go ahead, grab the wiring harness and route everything. And this is where the fun begins, because this shouldn't be that bad, which means, sorry, trying to put tools away because I will forget to do it. So this shouldn't be that bad. I do need to take a look at the instructions, see where this guy mounts. But other than that, all the hard part of this is done, and then we just reassemble everything and get things off my toolbox so I have more working room. And then we have a gauge again. So grab the harness, grab the control module, go back in the car, and I'll show you how you run this thing. Well, I'm not a huge fan of how they want you to route this. They want you to pull all the cluster plugs, you can see them back there, through this space. And really there's just not enough give in the harness, so I'm going to move everything over here. Still have enough reach for everything else as well, but the box, the control unit, all that will be right in here. And yeah, I'm just moving the spot. That's pretty much it. This guy is going to be your external. So this will go to the control module itself. This guy is going to go to your screen. And really, I'm just going to be flip-flopping everything. So control module here instead of here. And that's pretty much it. I did run out of daylight yesterday, but we got everything kind of mocked up on where it's going. I'll flip you around here so you can see. So obviously the display is right where it should be. This guy, I am going to have to kind of work its way back in there, and I'll probably attach some Velcro to the back side of it to keep it from vibrating and wiggling around. But all in all, not too bad. There is one modification that we are going to have to do, and this is to get the coolant temperature gauge working right. I will put a diagram up on the screen. I can't remember the pin numbers off the top of my head, but you're going to take one pin for one wire, cut it, and splice it into another wire, and this is on the ECU side of things, so got to be very careful, make sure we do this right. And that's just, like I said, to get the coolant temperature gauge reading right. For whatever reason, it doesn't work with the aftermarket gauge cluster, but that's what we need to do. So we'll get it done and hope for the best. So everything is now wired up except for the coolant gauge. I'm going to have to go through and do that. Let's go ahead, turn it on and see that start up. I have noticed that if it sits for a while, it does take a second to boot up. There it goes. And that's really just a nice, beautiful display. That's so good. Now that startup feature, the little animation it has of the S2000, that's a pretty cool touch in my opinion. There are a couple different other ones. You can get a bunch of different themes for this dash. And the biggest benefit is if you're running an aftermarket ECU, you can actually display different different gauges. You can run, let's say you have a Haltech or an AEM, whatever. If you have an oil pressure gauge set up for that ECU, you can run it directly to the dash. That way you don't have a bunch of different gauge pods kind of cluttering your interior. If you like a very minimal look, this probably is one of the best ways you could do that. That's pretty much all I got for you guys on this video. We got a lot more to do. I got a little antsy and I put the turbo on already. I'll show you because it's pretty cool. So I did get the turbo on there. It fits up pretty nicely for the most part. There is a spot down there I had to kind of grind away. I'll say overall, pretty good. I'm not super happy with the fitment of the PLM manifold. It just makes things a little bit tight, but I mean, you're adding a turbo to an NA car. What do you expect? So without further ado, thank you all for watching. If you liked the video, if you found it informative at all, or if you have any questions, by all means, drop a comment below. Consider liking and subscribing, and I will catch you next week. Peace.